Okay, well, and I'm stable as we progress. So this evening we want to talk briefly about how to become a better person. So basically looking at how you can, get yourself to become a better version of yourself. And each one of us are designed by God to fulfill a particular purpose. And you would understand that every creature, every creation, every product has an end goal. And so if I take any product, and so if I take any product that has been produced, whether it is a pen or has been produced, whether it is a pen or it is a book, whatever it is, there was an end goal for which reason it has been given all the needed abilities that should help it to fulfill its purpose. And so if I take a product and I understand that this product has a particular purpose to fulfill, and I understand that based on its purpose, there are certain functions, there are certain roles that I could have expectations of this product disappointed. And there are other functions, other situations where my expectations related to this product may not end up being fulfilled. And that is because the product may not necessarily be in a particular version or mode or a certain, type of the same product that is supposed to fulfill that purpose. And so for this evening's discussion, looking at becoming a better version of yourself, our goal is to understand a few things that can help us to become better. Whether you are a student, how do you become better? If you're a worker, how do you become better? If you are an individual who is looking forward to becoming the best person that you could be, then this particular live session is really important to you. So welcome once again. I am Wisdom, the host on this channel, and I appreciate your time here with me. Now, when we talk about becoming a better version of yourself, there are two key things that we are looking at. Number one, the first key thing is that as a person, you have various phases that you go through in your life. So as an individual, there are various phases, various stages in your life that you will go through. And if you take a seed, for instance, one of the key things when it comes to the seed germinating or being able to sprout out if it is planted is that the seed should be viable. So if you go into seed germination, one of the key ingredients or elements that would allow for a successful germination of the seed is that this seed is viable. This seed is potent. It has what it takes to grow. And so if I am planting corn, the corn that I'm planting should have what it takes to germinate. And so that beginning point of being viable is so important. And then when we plant this particular seed, depending on the kind of seed you are planting, that the depth you plant it. And so if I'm planting corn, the hole that I would dig will not be as deep as if I'm planting, coconut. There are different, requirements based on the particular seed that I am planting. And so the first point we are making is that as an individual, you must realize that there are various phases in life that you go through. And we are saying that if you take the process of seed germination, you'd realize that even if the seed is viable, it has to go through a whole process of being planted and meeting the requirements for how deep it should be sown into the soil. the kind of soil that it should also be in, whether it should be a loamy soil, a sandy soil, clay, or whichever. So each of the phases of our lives have requirements. If I am in the first stage of my development, I shouldn't be expecting to see resources that are meant for the second stage of my development. And generally, even looking at human development, right from birth, we've gone through various phases. As a toddler, there were expectations that others had of us. But then as we grew, the expectations began to change. And so people do not now expect you to behave childishly as somebody who is an adolescent or an adult now. And so that is because at each of the phases, the responsibilities will change, the expectations will change, the environment, the resources will change. And if as an individual, you do not understand that all these phases are important, you may end up not becoming the best version of yourself. So the first point we want to establish and drum home is the fact that our lives are in phases. Your life is in phases, and these phases come with their own responsibilities, their own expectations, the challenges, and all of that. The second key thing is that as an individual, you must understand that you have a key role to play in how each of the phases you go through in life turn out. Now, one thing that makes you somebody who is thriving despite the circumstances or situations that you find yourself is the responsibility you take for your life. And one of the key things that we'll talk about, four key things that can help you to become a better version of yourself, we'll delve deeper into it. How we need to take personal responsibility. So the second key thing we are talking about, which is the foundation for becoming a better you, is that you should understand that you have a responsibility, you have a role to play in how each of the phases of your life turn out. The good times, the bad times, the pleasant times, the not so pleasant times, the periods of childhood, adolescence, and adulthood, the times where you are employed and the times that you are not employed, all the changing scenes, all the phases, all the times and seasons, all of them would come with various troubles, various expectations and responsibilities, as we have mentioned. And it is up to you to determine how these changes that will happen, turn out. If I'm able to understand these two key foundations, then I'll set myself on course to becoming a better version of myself. And if you look at the products that we use, think of any of the products that you use, even the microphone that I am using. There are various versions, that you find, various brands and grades of it, and each of the grades determines what kind of sound quality you get. So it's now up to the individual to determine which of the versions or which of the grades you would want to get, and also whether or not you have what it takes to get that particular grade. Because at the end of the day, whichever grade you get will determine the output that comes. And if you understand this, it is very helpful in making your decisions. Now, the the individual as a person, as we mentioned from the beginning, is potent. And if you go into the Bible, into the scriptures, we understand how God created man in his own image and after his likeness. So Genesis 1, 26, 27. So we understand how God, in his own image and after his own likeness, decided to make this man who would take dominion over the earth. And so the Almighty God, the all-potent God, decides to come up with this creation that will be a reflection of him. And he puts in us so much ability. So much ability. So Genesis 1, the verse number 26. Then God said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. 27. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female, he created them. And so it is an established truth that I have potential because God, who created me, gave me all the abilities that I need to be a productive, a fruitful, and successful person on this earth. And for each one of us, the potential that God has given us is just a dimension of himself. He has just deposited a part of his abilities in me and in you. And that ability, that potential, that God-given, potency is something that can take us through our lifetime and help us to become all that God has purposed us to become. And we have a role to play in all of these. If I choose not to allow this potential to come out, it will lay dormant. It's when we go to Ecclesiastes chapter 10, the verse 10, one of my very favorite scriptures, it says that when the axe is dull, more strength is required. But this is the value of wisdom. It helps you to succeed. And what is that value of wisdom? Your ability to sharpen the axe. Because if the axe is dull, if the cutlass is dull, if what I'm using for cutting is dull, although it is a cutlass, although it is an axe and it has potential hidden in it to fall a tree, to cut down, wood, it would not be able to fulfill its purpose. And even if it does, it will take a longer time for me to do it. So the cutlass, the axe, whatever it is that is for cutting, has potential. Hidden in it is the ability to cut down trees, to divide wood. Hidden in it is the ability to, chop off what it needs to chop off. But if it is not sharp, if it is not sharpened, then that ability will not be seen in its fullness. And so when we talk about becoming a better version of yourself, it's a mindset that we are creating for ourselves, that I am like this axe that is dull. And once my axe is dull, it means that I will struggle to fulfill my purpose. If you are a student on this, session, whether you are watching live or you would be watching the video afterwards, if you do not make a decision to become a better student day by day, what will happen is that for the subjects that you have been struggling in since whoever can remember, you will continue to struggle in it. Not necessarily because you don't have potential to be good in that subject, but because your acts, your abilities have not been sharpened when it comes to that particular subject. There are some people who start off very poorly, but over time, once they begin to reassess themselves as students and they get into the right company, they study extra hours, they get into conversations with colleagues who are doing better. Before you realize, they begin to improve. And over time, you would be shocked at the level of improvement in their performance that we see. And so if I am a student, it's a mindset that I need to create for myself, that each day of my academic life, I need to become better. So if I'm very good at reading, I shouldn't stay there. How can I get better in reading and understanding the contents that I, engage with? If it is mathematics, I shouldn't be so happy with the fact that, and in one of my books, The Smart Scholar, think in one of the chapters I talk about how, if you are a student and you are probably getting the first in class, so I'm the first in class and I get maybe 70 out of 100 and still I'm the first, and then the next time I get 55 and I'm still the first in class, I shouldn't be happy just with the fact that I am still the first. Even if the topic or the subject matter, the questions that came were difficult, should I just be the first in class? No, there's a better version of myself that I can get to as a student. So if I keep at, oh, I was still the first, I would not be able to bring out the potent me that can still get a higher grade, a better score, and still be the first in the class. And I recall, through my primary education, there was this particular incident which really made me cry. I think, and typically I was doing well in school, and thanks be to God, I've been one excellent student. But then I think in primary four, there was this term where I still topped the class for mathematics, but I had around 50, and I was so sad. I cried. I was not happy with myself, and that is because I knew that when it comes to mathematics, the grades I get are high. Maths was my favorite subject. And so to get 50 something in maths and still be first, I didn't consider that as, a good thing to be glad about. I felt that I could have done more. I could have gotten a higher grade, and getting 52, 55 shouldn't be the standard just because I was still first. So it's a mindset you create for yourself that God has given me potential to be all the things that I can be, whether as a student, whether as a corporate worker, as somebody who is volunteering in a particular area, as a Christian, as a family person, whatever area of life that I find myself, there's a better me, there's a more improved me, there's a sharpened me that can come to fruition. And it is up to me to take the needed steps to get there. Now, what are some practical things that we can do in order to get better and better and become the best version of ourselves that there is? The first key thing is to understand yourself and your potential. And this is something that we have briefly spoken about, how as a person, as an individual, God has given you all the abilities and all the potential. It's such a privilege to have God as your creator, have God the Almighty as your producer. For every product that you'd buy, you would realize that the brand or the organization that produces it gives it a lot of value and credence. And so if I'm getting computer or any product that is an IT related product, and maybe it's from Apple, it carries some, value, some high esteem. And so when you are buying a product, you want to check who are the people that made it. You want to see if it is one of those recommended brands. And that is because whatever brand or organization that produced this gives you some confidence that the product will be good and it will fulfill its purpose. However, there are times where you'd find the name of a particular trusted brand on the product, and you realize later that it is fake. It's not actually the right one. So you buy a Nike shoe, and later on somebody points out to you that this one is fake and shows you what exactly is wrong with a particular symbol that has been used. It looks like the original, but it is not the original. You go and buy a phone, they tell you it's an original phone, and then later you find that it's behaving in a weird way, not consistent with the kind of brand that it's being associated with. Thankfully, as a person, as an individual, thankfully, as you are here in this particular live session or watching it afterwards, you have the greatest brand producer being your creator. And the Lord God Almighty says that He knows the thoughts that He has for you. And the thoughts He has for you, the plans that He has for you, are for your good and not for evil. He is working out things so that He'll bring you to an expectant future. And sorry, there was a break in there. It helps me, that understanding of the potential God that has hidden in me, the abilities He has hidden in me, and how far He can. There are some people who end up, comparing yourselves with every other person. And at the end of the day, you fail to take the needed steps because you are not confident in yourself. That is because you probably have not yet understood that as an individual, you have been made in the image of your creator. And if the creator of the universe, God, is the one that made you can be rest assured that He has given you all the needed abilities that can help you to succeed and live an excellent life despite the challenges. So, having a good understanding of yourself is important, and your potential is important. I use the example of the corn from the beginning. If I'm planting, maize, the requirements are different from when I'm planting coconut or cassava. The kind of plant or crop that you are, trying to get to grow will determine what the outcome will be. If I'm in junior high school and I meet someone in the university, the expectations I will have of them will be different, because what the person in the university has been able to accumulate over time is more than the one in junior high school. And so there is a certain expectation that the one at the tertiary level of education, the one at the university, would have a better appreciation of, life generally, and be able to demonstrate more competence if given a particular duty to perform. And so the level at which God has is something that should encourage us to begin to believe in ourselves. And in doing that, one of the things that can help you is to take time to assess yourself. Ask yourself a few questions. What are some of the things that I'm able to do easily? What are some of the things that, I'm able to do? Some of the characteristics or virtues that people appreciate me for. What are some of the things that people say, hey, you do well? Maybe it's about the fact that I'm more caring. People appreciate that a lot about me. So what we say, doing a certain SWOT analysis of yourself, where you are trying to assess yourself either by looking at your own life or asking other people to list out a few things that they have observed. So number one, my strengths. What are my strengths? When you put me amongst children, I'm able to relate with the children so well, and they don't want to leave after they encounter me. That is a strength. It helps you to understand yourself in a very unique way, where you realize that although you may struggle anytime you are amongst adults and you need to speak, when it comes to children, you are able to flow easily. And that feeling It's not coming. All right. Please, can you hear me now? Hello, Kevin. Okay. So I'm glad you can hear me now. Okay. So we were talking about understanding your weaknesses as well. So it's important to know what your weaknesses are. What are the things that don't come to you easily? And that can help you to take the needed steps to address them. And we talk about the opportunities. What are my opportunities? And that is linked to the second main point for some of the things that we can do. So I'll leave that for now. And the T in the SWOT is your threats. What are your threats? So if I look carefully at my work area. What are the threats for me? Sometimes the threat may not be any competitor. The threat may not be another individual. The threat can be you yourself and the fact that you are not being diligent. And so when I realize that my input, my work input is not to the optimum, it's a sign to me that very soon, if I'm not careful, I will be replaced. A lot of times when we talk about threats, our threats in doing the SWOT analysis, doing a personal analysis to see where we can improve and all that, we consider our threats from the external perspective. We are looking at how things are changing in the work environment and it can affect us, where the competitors are and all that. We often fail to look at ourselves as a source of threat to our progress. And when we go back to the scripture we read, Ecclesiastes 10, the verse 10, it says that when the axe is dull, more strength is required. So if your knowledge on the work you are doing, your area of work, your knowledge is not updated, it is a threat to you. You may soon be found irrelevant. If if you are in an area where maybe you are in the finance environment where you have to do a lot of financial records and all that, if you are not updated on the new trends, the current templates and all that, you may not be able to go far. And so when there's promotion, you would end up being overlooked a lot of times, and you would see many potential reasons outside of yourself, but really it is you and your inability to improve, your inability to get information that is really causing you not to make progress. So let's also check to be sure that is there anything I'm doing or not doing that is preventing me from becoming better. If there's anything like that I'm not doing, then I begin to do. And if there's something that I am doing that is not helping me, maybe my friendships and all that, my circle, of conversations, then I need to also work on that as well. So the second point on what we can do to become a better version of ourselves is to understand what we need to do and the resources available to us. And so that is the O in the SWOT analysis, the opportunities. But before I can even identify the opportunities I have, I need to know what I have to do. So if I am a student and I want to become better, I need to become better in the course that I'm reading because the grades are not coming fine. You are getting grades that are not encouraging. What do I need to do? So if I'm able to identify that, number one, for a student to be excellent, for a student to be doing well, they need to be attending the lecture sessions or be attending class sessions. If I know that this is something that I need to do, and probably I'm not doing, if I know that a student who is excellent is one that probably learns with other people who are equally good, we we oftentimes get better when we are moving with people that also want to get better. So if I have friends who are driven, they want to succeed, chances are that I would also end up getting that kind of drive moving me. And so we would often say that you show me your friend and I'll show you your character. And the Bible helps us to understand that a friend sharpens the other. So when we want to sharpen our axe, you have a cutlass you want to sharpen, you don't go and sharpen the cutlass on wood, you sharpen it with stone or another object, so that you can have a sharpened cutlass. So the opportunities that are available to me, the resources that are available to me, I need to understand them by first of all knowing what I need to do. When I know the journey that I am on as a person, then I can also get to see or know the resources that are available. If you are traveling to a particular destination and you do not know that that destination you need to go by road, what will happen is that you may go online and be looking for flights to that place, or be looking for some ship that will be taking people there, and you may look and look and not find, because what needs to be done to get to that destination is to get a vehicle. So if I know what needs to be done to get to the destination that I want to get to, it helps me. So those 2 points together, understanding what you need to do and understanding the resources that are available to you. What do you need to do to become a better student? What do you need to do to become a better husband? What do you need to do to become a better farmer? What do you need to do to become a better teacher? The the questions that we ask ourselves in this regard will now lead us to find the kind of resources that will help us. So as a teacher, if I need to get better at my delivery, because the children, the students that we are teaching are very diverse, and I need to learn a lot of skills in order to be able to deliver content to them. If I realize that the times have changed and I also need to change, that knowledge that times have changed and I also need to change will now push me to go and look for current updated research on pedagogy and how to deliver content to meet the 21st century students needs. So the understanding of what I need to do is very important. If you are someone who needs to, based on your SWOT analysis that you have done, you realize that my strength is in the area of fashion. I'm very artistic in nature. When you give me a product, I'm able to turn it into something that is appealing or pleasant. If I understand these strengths that I have, and I understand that in order to bring these strengths or these abilities to bear, I need to go steady in a fashion school, or probably take a course in the creative arts and all that. If I understand that this is what I need to do in order to sharpen these raw talents I have, then I will now begin to look for schools. That is the resources component, the opportunities component. I'll now begin to look for schools that are excelling or doing well in training students in that particular area. But if I do not first of all understand what I need to do, I will struggle to even look for the right resources. So understand what you need to do and the resources that are available. If you also know the resources that are available to you, it helps you Sorry. It helps you to have very realistic expectations on the way. So I if you are somebody who is coming from a home where you don't have very financially stable parents or guardians, and you also understand that as somebody who is coming from such a home or such an environment where the resources are not readily available, I need to work. All right, so sorry I dropped. Sorry for the interruptions in the. We've looked at the first key point for becoming a better version of yourself. You need to understand yourself and the potential that you have, the God-given potential you have. You need to understand the things that the resources that are available to you to do so. And we were on the point where if I'm a student from a not so good financial background, if you get to school, it's important that knowing where students may be doing, you need to put in much more because you don't have the amount of resources that the others may be having. So there's this important, age-old saying that man know thyself. This is an important, statement. Very simple. That if I know myself, I know the resources that are available to me, it will inform how I live my life. There are some people that are living beyond your financial resources, living beyond what stress, a lot of unnecessary pressure. Know what you need to do in order to arrive at the destination that you so desire. If I'm somebody who wants to become a medical, to follow the same route that somebody else may be following. So long as I want to become a medical doctor, I should also understand that there is the extra mile I will go. If others are doing 4 years in their first degree, I shouldn't expect that I would have the same 4 years to go. I have 6 years to go, or even, may have to do some extra year in addition. So, knowing what it takes for me to arrive at the destination I am on is very important so that I get better and better by the day. If you are planting a seed and you understand what you need to do, knowing that with this particular seed, with this particular crop, it needs more water, that informs your actions. It tells you that if I'm planting this particular seed, I should be sure that I have enough water. I should be sure that there's a system where I can irrigate when the rains are not coming. Knowing what you need to do is important, very, very important. And when it comes to our work life, sometimes some people think that yes, it's just about doing what I have been asked to do. There are role specification, job specifications and all that, so this is what I'm supposed to do, and then they think that they have what it takes because you have been trained in that particular area. But on the job, what are the specific nuances, the dynamics that come to play may mean that you need to learn more. You may mean that you need to consult others that probably are much ahead of you or more experienced, and even sometimes it may mean that you speak to people that may not be at your level, because at the level that they are, though you are higher than them in terms of seniority, they are within a certain level where conversations at that level can help you to understand what is happening within the organizational structure. So understand what you need to do and then the resources that can help you to do them. Number three is to do what you need to do with passion and diligence. when we say you are passionate about something, it means that you have given it your whole heart and you are doing it from a place of purpose and wanting to find fulfillment. So when I'm passionate about talking to young people, it means that I have this certain, end goal where I am seeing younger people becoming better and living a more excellent life, whether in the academics or generally when it comes to their well-being and their life, Sorry. So if I'm someone who is passionate about God and the purposes of God on earth, it will mean that I'll give my time, I'll give my life, I'll give my resources and my attention to doing the things that will bring glory to God. So the things that I am passionate about, I commit a lot of time and energy to. So if there's anything that you are doing, you should attach some passion to it, even if it's not something that originally you wanted to do. For instance, there are some people who wanted to become something else, a profession that you had dreamt about so much right from childhood, and you end up realizing that you are not in that field, probably because you didn't get the needed resources or the needed training or support that would have helped you to get there. I saw a video documentary of a young guy who went through teacher training, to be trained as a teacher, but then he now decided to sell iced kinky, and he's so passionate about it, and he's doing well in that particular business. So there are things that may, based on our own choice or just the unforeseen events of life, that may change our course and where we are headed to. Whatever it is, let's just commit ourselves to being passionate and being diligent. If you are serving well and doing your best in that particular role, although it is not what you wanted to do, chances are that the people that are observing, the supervisor, the senior, manager, will look at who is so about their work, comes very early, and when you give them the task, they are so attentive to details and they want to do it well. And if an opportunity comes, you are the person that will come to mind. So the Bible says, have you seen someone who is diligent in his work? He will not serve mere men, but he will serve kings. And when we do what we need to do well as a teacher, if you teach with passion, if you do a lot more research and update your knowledge and commit time and effort to ensuring that your students are getting better, because as a teacher you are getting better, what will happen is that you personally will find fulfillment, your students will be doing better, and that in itself is some satisfaction both to you, to the student, and to their parents. And if I'm a student and I'm committed to my course, there are some people that they get to the university and they are giving courses that they didn't want to do. Probably the person wanted to read medicine and they ended up being given BSc psychology. I had colleagues during my first degree who would say were medical school rejects, so to speak. You know that terming, where they were science students who wanted to be in the field of medicine, but they ended up not getting those admissions that would have made them go into medicine, but rather coming in to do the BSc psychology. And I see some of them so passionate about the cause. I saw some of them so committed to the program, and they ended up, graduating with very excellent, grades and classes, and they are doing well. And so, even if it is something you didn't want to do, a course you didn't want to do, and you ended up finding yourself in there, give it your best. Give it your best. Melody, thank you for the comment in there. Very insightful. God bless you. Amen. Thank you for that. So whatever I find myself doing, I should do it as unto the Lord, as the Bible helps us to understand. So whether it is as a cook, a chef, if I'm a chef, I cook in a restaurant or whatever it is, how can I add some more energy to it, some passion to it? How can I be more welcoming? Working on that will mean that I'm becoming better and better as a chef. What are some of the things that I need to do, to ensure that the customers are safer and they are more comfortable? I do some research and find out what are some of the things that are helping clients of today. It helps me. Going the extra mile is important. It is part of being a diligent person. If you are sorry, if you are a diligent person, you will go far. You can only become what you are committed to. You can only become what you are committed to. The more you engage, the more you try to work harder, the more you try to get more knowledge, the more you try to smile more at people, the more time and energy you spend learning about that particular course that you don't even like the lecturer or the teacher, that subject you hate so much. The more time you spend with friends who are interested in that particular course, the better you become. So it's important that if I want to become a better version of myself, I begin to add some passion to the things that I do, and I begin to become more committed to the things. So if it's in church, I'm more committed to playing a particular role in church. That is what helps me to get, better spiritually. It is by doing that you become better. If the axe is not used, it will get itself at a point not to be as sharp as it would have been. If you continue to use it and you continue to sharpen it, the better it becomes. There are certain gadgets that if you don't use it for a long time, you realize that it ends up becoming faulty. So whatever it is, just make sure that you are working, make sure that you are committing yourself to the tasks in school, at work, generally for your life. Just be somebody who is passionate and somebody who is diligent. And the last thing before we go is that avoid excuses and take responsibility. There's this statement that should be something you recite to yourself a lot of times. I take responsibility for my actions. So when things go wrong, your first point of call should not be looking for who contributed to the thing going wrong. What role did I play to make this particular program not successful, and how can I improve upon what I was supposed to do so that next time I'll give it my best shot. If things go wrong, don't be looking for excuses. Be looking for the role that you played and how next time you can be better. If you failed in a particular subject, you shouldn't be thinking about the subject's teacher or lecturer and the fact that they hate you. Suffice it to say, even if they hate you or they don't like you, what can you do better? Okay. So if I'm not asking for the help, I will not get the help. I need to take responsibility for my own life and ask for the help. If I don't go seeking for knowledge, if I don't go seeking for what will make my knowledge even better, I will struggle. So take responsibility for your own life and avoid excuses. It is easy to give excuses, but be somebody who refuses to give those excuses. Find what you can do the next time to be better. And if there's anything that can help you, seek the help. Don't expect that people would know what is wrong with you and come and support you. Even when people are not supporting you, take responsibility for your life. Whether or not the people are supporting you, you are the one who needs to take charge and continue. There are football matches where you realize the fans begin to go silent because the team they are supporting is down. Now, if as the team on the field you also give up, what will happen is that there will not be a comeback. So, as the team on the ground, as the individual on the ground who knows where you are going, just persevere despite the lack of support. And very soon, when people realize that you persisted, even though they were not supporting, people will begin to support you because they've seen somebody who is serious, somebody who is persistent, and somebody who wants to become even the best that they can become. And this is where we would want to end it. In summary, we are saying that in order to become a better version of yourself, you need to understand who you are and understand your potential. Number two, you need to understand the things that are needed for somebody who wants to be an excellent person. And it is something that can help you to also know the resources that are available to you currently and the ones that you can get. And number three, you need to do whatever you are doing with passion and diligence. And finally, take responsibility for your life. Don't go looking for who to blame. Even if there's any to blame, take responsibility for your actions. The Apostle Paul says very importantly that so long as it depends on you, live at peace with all people. Meaning that there may be others who don't want to live in peace, but so long as I take personal responsibility for my actions, I'll be able to live at peace with them. And these are some key things that I believe can help us to become a better version of ourselves. Thank you so much for joining this live session. All those who came on, thank you. I'll be uploading the video as well. So if you watch it after the live session, I say thank you. Thank you so much. And sorry for the interruptions in my network connectivity. I hope that the next time it will be much more stable. Thank you and bye-bye.